And our numbers have slowed down now, so I think everybody's in here. So welcome. The presentation for the next afternoon, the rest of this afternoon, sorry, for the next hour this afternoon is on Costa Rica. We have Vanessa here and Nadine from Beard. Beard is a company that actually put Costa Rica on the map for diving. So they're a company that has been around in Costa Rica for many, many years, fell in love with it personally, and brought Costa Rica to divers, from their own heart, so to speak, and their own exploration, and wanting to share it with others. So I am going to hand you over to Vanessa and Nadine, and we will explore Costa Rica.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. So welcome to Beard, Costa Rica. We want to convince you to take a break from that stay home imposed closet reorganization and binge watching to dream a little bit about Costa Rica and our Costa Rica vacation. So if you're listening to this, you maybe have traveled to Costa Rica in the past or just wanted to relive some of the great times that you had while you're here. Or maybe you're just thinking of Costa Rica as one of the upcoming dive and family vacations for your upcoming years of travel. Maybe you're thinking of hosting a group in Costa Rica in the next few years and want to get a bit more insight about what it's like to travel. And we're here to kind of educate you a bit more about who we are and what we do. So my name is Vanessa, and I'm head of the Beard Costa Rica Operations and Sales Office. I'm located in beautiful Costa Rica, and it's now my permanent home, and I couldn't be luckier to be here. I have 20 years of experience working in the travel industry in Costa Rica, and I'm also a diver. So I have a really good understanding of what our travelers are looking for, and can make great recommendations for where to go and what to see and where to dive. We also have Bill and Nadine joining us from the Florida office, and so they'll be jumping in shortly. So we're going to start with a quick run through of what we'll be covering in this session. To begin, we'll talk a little bit about our company and what we do. I'll touch on why our clients choose to travel with Beard Costa Rica and also Deep Blue Adventures over some of our competitors. And we'll also talk about the advantage of working with our dive and adventure experts, and some of our new information about booking now and paying later for risk-free commitment during the next year. We'll also talk about the highlights in diving and why Costa Rica should be on your 2021-2022 travel list. We'll talk about getting to Costa Rica, where to fly into, and talk a little bit about flights from the US and Europe. Also, Costa Rica has a lot more to see above the water, and so maybe some of you are thinking about some non-dive travel, and we'll touch a little bit about some of our top 10 destinations and how to make sure that your trip itinerary makes sense as well. We'll end up with some feedback about some of our guests and then wrap it up with about a 10-minute question and answer session. So that's a little bit about what our session will look like. So why do travelers choose Beard Costa Rica? To kick off here, let's start a little bit about who Beard Costa Rica is. So we have been in the business since 1970 and have a really strong reputation in the dive and travel industry of being the experts on diving in Costa Rica. Our offices are located in country. A little bit about Beard. Scuba diving in Costa Rica had its start when Bill Beard came down from Florida to explore this tropical nation and realized that no one was scuba diving or exploring the underwater paradise in Costa Rica. So he saw opportunity staring him in the face and quickly left and returned to Costa Rica with scuba gear and tanks in hand. Quickly fell in love with that Pura Vida spirit and opened up the first dive shop in Costa Rica, and later the first resort dive center in the country. Slowly, he began to teach the local freedivers that it was more sustainable to learn scuba diving and be ambassadors to the ocean rather than fishing. And just with this action, the sustainable tourism model was born, and as a result, Costa Rica dive travel industry began to take form. Over the years, we have brought more and more divers to Costa Rica, and we expanded to work with land-based naturalist guides and do really more combination travel as well. Our trips have evolved over the years to include some really high charge diving and fantastic marine life, combined with all of the amazing topside experiences that Costa Rica is known for. We have divers and local experts on our sales team, and the idea is that they travel and dive extensively in Costa Rica and really spend time putting that local knowledge and insight into each trip they are creating. So I firmly believe that this experience is the value that sets us apart from our competitors. The service combined with our 5-star ground staff and in-country support team really makes smooth traveling for all of our guests. Our guests feel at ease knowing that they are in-country contact is always on hand to help them with any kind of issue, problem, or question when they're traveling. So what we do, what Bill Beard Costa Rica offers divers is unique. We offer dive packages throughout Costa Rica and are not married to one hotel or dive operation. Because of this, we can honestly advise you what the best vacation packages for you. Whether you're an advanced diver looking to dive Coco Islands, or maybe looking for, or a new diver, maybe looking for some good dives that are less challenging, or maybe someone who's never been diving before and just wants to learn, we can put together the best dive vacation and scenario for you, designed for you, your style and your budget. We design dive and non-dive packages for individuals, families, and groups. We know Costa Rica. We know what works, we know what doesn't, we know how to save you time and money, and most importantly, we really help maximize your vacation time and options while in country. So for divers who want to spend all their time at the beach, they can dive. We can offer a beach and stay vacation that includes maybe a private meet and greet airport and beach transfer, maybe 3 to 5 days of diving in the country, and maybe at the end, off-gas day, we can do an exciting combination adventure tour so you can get a little taste of Costa Rica. We can also do dive vacations where maybe it's 4 or 5 nights at the beach and maybe do 2 or 3 nights inland at the Arenal Volcano, really get to experience the rainforest and mix it up for any type of traveler. So we're going to dive right in and meet some of our adventure experts. These people are really what make your Costa Rica vacation extraordinary, and we've got staff that are really professional travel experts. They tailor exceptional dive and adventure vacations to help explore Costa Rica your way. They have stayed at the resorts, they've rafted the whitewater, they've done the zip lining, and they've experienced firsthand what you will experience, and so it's easy for us to make recommendations. Your local dive and travel expert will really help customize your vacation to every last detail, whether or not it's a dive and stay, maybe it's a Cocos Island live aboard extension you're looking to do, or maybe it's a non-dive luxury stay at the Arenal Volcano. We'll help make that happen. Our staff's with you 100% of the way, from the initial planning stages all the way through the booking process while you're in country, and all the way up to the day you return. I know ourselves, we work with Terry quite a bit, and we're really with you all the way through the process. Make sure your experience is flawless. We handpicked all of our guides and local staff. We're here, we're experiencing them, so we are doing evaluations all the time to make sure our services are up to par with our standards. And our team members are really dedicated and kind-hearted. We'll listen to your personal requests. We do it with care, and we really want to go the extra mile to make sure your vacation's a memorable one. So we understand with everything going on and all the uncertainty with travel over the next year, many of you are in the wait and see holding pattern to see how the situation evolves before making final decisions. We get that. Just a little brief bit about Costa Rica, and the authorities have been really proactive in making and helping prevent the spread, and within the country really been consistent with our border shutdown in place in early March. This quick action really kept our numbers down, and hopefully as soon as we'll be ready to proceed with new guidelines, new practices in place for when travel is allowed again. So that really helps us out as a country. We understand that it's difficult right now for putting deposits down, making commitments, but we really want to help out. So in this next year, we're really being flexible with implementing this book now, pay later, having this risk-free commitment to secure your vacation with no deposit required if you feel you need to do that. So booking 90 days in advance, you don't need to put the full payment down today. You can just kind of dream and put something together, and then when we're at that 90-day mark, then we can talk about deposits, and when we're much more secure in where these trips are going and when travel will be open again. So we want to encourage people to think about travel, to maybe plan it. It's risk-free right now with us, so I hope that kind of puts people at ease in terms of getting some trips on the books and start planning. So we're going to jump into why Costa Rica. There are countless reasons why Costa Rica should be on your next vacation, next vacation destination. It's really got a compact geography and endless numbers of choices to explore below, above the water. The biggest challenge in Costa Rica is trying to figure out what combination to do for your holiday or vacation. So it's a tourist-friendly country. We welcome people from all over the world with warm and open arms. Costa Ricans are really known for being some of the most friendly people on earth. We know that traveling to places is always fun, but the people of those places are friendly, then it really makes the experience one of a kind. So Costa Rica's got that going for us. Nature, with over 25% of Costa Rica is protected by national park and reserve system, and 5% of the world's biodiversity. Costa Rica is a nature and animal lovers paradise. There is an abundance of wildlife, plant life to experience in all different types of ecosystems. There are cloud forests, we've got rainforest, mangrove, swamps, forests, dry forests, volcanoes, hot springs, and beaches. So really a full range of ecosystems to explore. Marine life. We've got the marine territory is significantly larger than its land territory, and we have over a dozen marine parks and reserve that are included in the national park system. It's estimated that Costa Rica is home to about 25 different species of whales, dolphins, and hundreds of species of tropical fish, and vast array of rays, sharks, and mollusks. Adventure. There are so many thrilling adventures and tours that you can embark on. Tours that range from soft adventure all the way to adrenaline junkie friendly options. Some of Costa Rica's most popular options are zip lining, waterfall hiking and rappelling, ATVing, horseback riding, mountain biking. It's really endless, the number of activities you can tag on to any dive vacation. And lastly, pura vida. This literally translates to pure life. If you've been to Costa Rica, you've heard the phrase pura vida. And it's really a way of life in Costa Rica, and one that everyone that visits Costa Rica takes back with them. It's about living simply and intentionally and always being present and appreciating nature, embracing and taking the time to do things that you love. So it's hard not to feel and understand what pura vida is all about when you come to Costa Rica. It's a simple saying, but it's laced with a lot of deep wisdom to promote happiness and well-being towards others. So, all right. So getting to Costa Rica. So which airport is better? Costa Rica has 2 international airports. We've got Liberia Airport in the Guanacaste region and San Jose, Juan Santa Maria in the Central Valley. Your itinerary really will determine which is better or maybe whether a combination of both is best. For the Caribbean, Central Pacific, and all southern Costa Rica, San Jose is always usually your best bet. But if you're headed to the beaches to dive in Guanacaste, for example, then definitely flying in to Liberia Airport is the way you want to go. A lot of U.S. airlines fly into Costa Rica. Alaska Air, U.S. Airways, American, all of them fly in from various different hubs. You can see we've got a lot of direct flights from Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York, Miami, Denver, and even quite a few from Europe as well. So it's quite easy to make connections from most US cities. So let's start off with scuba diving in Costa Rica. Most of the scuba diving in Costa Rica is done on the Pacific shores or on liveaboard dive trips to Coco Islands. Today we're going to focus more on the land-based diving. Nearly all diving is done around volcanic rock formations and pinnacles where you find the variety of the marine life. Our dive packages usually include 2-tank AM local boat dives, which include tanks, weights, belts, snacks. Obviously, equipment can be rented as well. Each day, our gear is set up on the boats. So basically, you just have to show up, check your equipment, and then dive. At the end of the day, our staff will wash and store your equipment and set it out on the boat for the next day you dive. For groups, we usually have a dive staff member who will come in the evenings upon your arrival and give a really good briefing to the group and pick up any personal dive gear that your group has and arrange for rental equipment as needed. So the best time to dive in Costa Rica. Costa Rica diving along the Northwest Pacific coast is available year-round. And so I know when Bill's always asked, when's the best time to dive in Costa Rica? His answer is always anytime you can make it. We do have 2 distinct diving seasons. They're divided between the rainy and green season, which is May to November, and also our dry season, which is December to April. If we had to pick, our favorite time is probably actually the rainy season between May and November. I love August. That's when we've got our warm water usually. And we also have a whale migration that time of year. So I really like August into September and that time of year personally. Don't be scared off by the rainy season. Mornings are usually sunny with some rain in the afternoons from May to mid-September. Rains do increase a little more in October and start to diminish in November. We have nutrient surges off the Pacific coast that are really attracting all of this marine life. We have the bull sharks at the Bat Islands from May to November. And also those polar currents are bringing the mantas to the Catalina Islands from January through April, with both areas seeing huge schools of fish and rays throughout the year. As mentioned before, we've got 2 whale migrations. Divers can hear whales singing from August to November, with frequent visits of the southern Pacific humpbacks making their trek thousands of miles from Antarctica to mate and birth in our warm, shallow waters. And from January to March, there's another migration of the humpback whales from the north to escape the Arctic winter. A little bit about water temperatures and visibility. Divers will usually experience our warm water ocean temps from, I'd say, low 70s to mid 80s on average from May to November. Then Costa Rica experiences an influx of cooler water in December to April, with an average temperature ranging from high 60s to mid 70s Fahrenheit. Seasonal air temperature along the coast ranges from about low 80s in the green season and up to mid 90s in our hot, dry summer months from December to April. Usually there's a cool breeze off the ocean, so you can't escape it. Our visibility in Costa Rica, because we have Pacific diving, we're not going to see the visibility that we might see in the Caribbean islands, for example. Our visibility does tend to be better during the warmer water months from June to November when the winds are scarce and rain lays down the silt in the evenings. And however, even during those months, divers can experience really a wide range of different visibility from anywhere from 30 meters to down to 5 meters, and it really can change on a dive. So it's a little bit harder to predict. Our waters are really rich in nutrients and plankton, which is what attracts our marine life and huge schools of fish and rays. Many times schools of cownose rays and mobula rays are numbering in the hundreds or even thousands as you're diving. So setting divers up to understand that all this nutrients may affect visibility, but it's really what is attracting that high voltage diving with all of our marine life. A little bit about currents and surge. The dry season is known for winds that sweep down from the north, creating a little bit choppier ocean surface and greater surge presence. Green season from May to November offers predominantly calmer ocean conditions. Most sites are not generally visited by strong current, with the exception of Coco Islands. Can have a little bit heavier currents and surges. So where should you dive in Costa Rica? So Costa Rica, we've got the North Pacific Guanacaste region, and I would say that 90% of our divers are heading up to that region. The Gulf of Papagayo, there's over 20 different dive sites on submerged pinnacles packed with marine life, usually about a 10 to 20 minute boat ride from shore. It's common to see squadrons of eagle rays, schooling cownose rays, horse-eyed jacks, snapper, grunts, and puffers. Schools of white-tip reef sharks are often seen taking a little siesta on the sandy bottom as well. So that's in the Guanacaste region, which is our local diving. We also have the Catalina Islands, which is right off here off of the Playa Flamingo area. And this is a series of 20 small islands. It's a cleaning station offering some great diving with frequent encounters from stingrays, bat rays, eels, sea turtles. This is a great opportunity spot to dive with the Pacific giant mantas, which can be seen all year round, although it's most common to see them from November to March when the polar currents are bringing that colder water. We also have the Bat Islands, which is a little bit north up here off of the Santa Rosa National Park. It's commonly known as the Bats. This is really world-class dive site. It's famous for really that high voltage diving. Popular site is the Big Scare, where divers can find themselves surrounded by maybe 6 to a dozen large 8 to 12 foot bull sharks. Best time to visit the Bat Islands is probably May to November, when we have our calmer seas and it makes a little bit for easier crossing. We've got also some diving down here in southern Costa Rica, which is the South Pacific and the Drake Bay area. So the Caño Island Biological Reserve, this is a Pacific island off the Osa Peninsula and is protected marine park with really great biodiversity. The dive spots are teeming with huge schools of grunts, snappers, king anglefish, sergeant majors, sharks, and rays. You usually encounter dolphins and also the humpback and pilot whales, depending on the time of year. El Bajo del Diablo, which is the Devil's Rock, is a few kilometers off the island, as well as known as a huge rock pinnacle right below the surface. This site is frequented by the giant manta rays and jumping mobula rays. We also have Coco Islands. I'll just touch quickly. Coco Islands, this is one of Costa Rica's most well-known dive spots. Waters here are buzzing with hammerhead sharks, whitefin sharks, stingrays, dolphin, tuna, sailfish. Scientists measure coco's concentration of marine life is 5 times greater than in the Caribbean, mostly attributed to the volcanic pinnacles jetting up from the ocean, deep ocean waters. The sudden change in topography really produces some nutrient-rich upwellings, attracting tons of species. Sharks are really sharks are really the stars of the show. The best season for wildlife sightings is probably June to November, with the hammerhead sharks, whale sharks, and manta rays at their peak. Only drawback to Coco Island is getting there. It takes about a 36-hour by boat liveaboard. It's a liveaboard only to cross over the 400 miles to get to this diving paradise. So that is a little bit about diving. I'm going to also touch a bit about some topside Costa Rica, because a lot of our divers, what they do is maybe do a combination of diving as well as adventure. Maybe you're even thinking of a non-dive trip. So we're going to touch a little bit about our top 10 destinations. There's a growing interest in visiting the coast, the rainforest, seeing really some unique wildlife. So if you're looking for a trip that's really bursting with adventure, nature, some amazing tropical beauty, then look no further. We've got day after day sunshine, tropical greenery, stunning beaches, active volcanoes. It's really a perfect fit for any type of vacation. Extend your dive vacation, add a few days at the end to explore the country. Maybe you're doing a liveaboard and you want to do maybe 3 or 4 days before you head off, just seeing a little bit of Costa Rica. Maybe you have a non-dive family vacation that you really wanted to check out. Here are a few top 10s and some of our personal favorites. So we'll start out, what we talked about before is the beaches of Guanacaste. This is known as the Golden Coast and in the Northwest Pacific part of Costa Rica. Favored by scuba divers and surfers. It's got stunning beaches, great scuba diving, and our tip is always to make sure you catch the sunset because they're unbelievable there. We also, if you head inland, another top location is the Arenal Volcano. Visiting the Arenal Volcano is really a quintessential part of any tourist trip to Costa Rica. Visitors are greeted by its principal attraction, the iconic Arenal Volcano, as it really dominates the landscape and can be seen from almost any direction you're coming in from. The Arenal Volcano area really keeps guests busy and is known as really the adventure hub of Costa Rica. You can take a wild rafting trip, rappel down a waterfall, hike, bike, or horseback your way through the country, through the Arenal area. At the end of the day, you can top it off with a relaxing soak in one of the Arenal Volcano hot springs as well. So it's definitely an area that most of our divers combine with their dive vacations and one of the must-sees of traveling in Costa Rica. Next, we've got the Monteverde cloud forest. So you will feel like you are on top of the world when you reach this, the cloud forest of Monteverde. It's situated about over 4,500 feet above sea level, and it's perched upon the continental divide, and its weather is really influenced by a mix of the dry Pacific, salty ocean air mixed with the warm Caribbean, and it really creates an almost continuous source of moisture that fuels this unique habitat. This mountain town really was founded by Quakers that came down from the US in the 50s and has a real Wild West feel. It's an eclectic mix of farmers, artists, nature lovers, scientists, and outdoor enthusiasts. So it's a fun place to go. The Manuel Antonio area, this is in the Central Pacific. This is one of the most popular oceanside villages in the Central Pacific area. It's really got a full infrastructure of hotel accommodations, from luxury condos all the way down to cozy hideaways. It's home to one of the smallest national parks, but it's also considered one of the most biodiverse. It's got really stunning, beautiful beaches and wildlife in this park. Manuel Antonio has a ton of adventures as well, such as rafting, canopy, so there's a lot to do in that area. There is some diving as well in Manuel Antonio. Conditions here are a little less predictable. It is subject to a lot more rain than the Guanacaste region, so visibility can be a little bit more less range in the rainy season, as we get a little bit more runoff from those rivers. I'm gonna head down South Pacific to the Oso and Corcovado area. So National Geographic has called the Osa Peninsula the Costa Rica's South Pacific as the most biologically intense place on Earth. It's jutting into the sea. It's got this pristine peninsula is really flanked by the Drake Bay to the north, and then the Pacific Ocean to the west. It's got the Golfo Dulce to the east. It's a real secluded area and home to 4 different species of monkeys. We've got anteaters, the big tapir, big cats. We also have the king vulture and flocks of scarlet macaws, as you see in the picture. All of this unspoiled beauty really can be seen on the protected grounds of the Corcovado National Park if you're down there. Also, the protected waters of the Caño Island Biological Reserve, as we spoke about before, just off Drake Bay. That's where you can also enjoy some of the diving and snorkeling in that area. This area is a little bit harder to get down to with logistics and is dominated by really smaller eco-lodges. So if we're talking large groups, it's a lot easier to dive in the Guanacaste region, but more for individual travel. And if you have the time, then this area makes sense to maybe check it out, or maybe do both. Maybe do some diving in Guanacaste and then head down to the Osa after. Heading over to the Tortuguero area on the Caribbean side. So located on the Caribbean, the Tortuguero National Park stretches over about 19,000 hectares of land and 50,000 kilometers of sea. It includes those Amazon-like canals of the natural rivers and lagoons where as you see in the picture, you do those boat rides through these canals, which is just amazing. This is once a logging and fishing outpost, and the region really has gained some international recognition for its conservation efforts, protecting and aimed at protecting marine turtles that lay their eggs in this area. Guests will really marvel at the impressive biodiversity and wildlife in this region. No scuba diving in this area, but definitely worth adding on maybe a 2-night stay, especially during turtle season, which is July to October, when in the evenings you can usually see sign up and do a turtle watching tour on the beach. I'm going to head back over to the Pacific side, to the Nicoya Peninsula. Small town surfing culture combined with these pristine beaches makes this area a great option for those kind of looking to get away from it all, get ready to relax on the beaches. Places like Santa Teresa, Nosara, and Malpais. This area also has a turtle nesting area in Los Baulas National Marine Park and the Ocenal National Wildlife Refuge. The area has become an international wellness destination as well, offering a lot of places to fine-tune body, mind, and spirit. So it's really popular with surfers and yoga enthusiasts as well. There are a couple small dive operations in this area. It's a little bit more difficult because there is a lot of surfing in that area, but there are a little bit of diving from that area as well. The next area, we've got the Tenario and the Celeste and Miravalles. So this Tenario volcano and the Miravalles volcano is in the North Highlands of Guanacaste. So it's pretty easy to get to if you're doing a dive vacation. The area is known for the Rio Celeste waterfall, which is in the picture, and an active volcano, as its name says. It's got a lot of dense rainforest, really breathtaking color of the Celeste River, and the towering views of the volcano make this a real rainforest paradise. We've got the Miravalles geothermal plant as well, and nearby hills lined with the sulfur crystals and smoldering mud pots. So if you've seen those pictures of people who kind of cover themselves with the mud, that's where they're at. So it's really considered kind of a similar Yellowstone of Costa Rica. We're going to head down to the other side, to the southern Pacific. So Puerto Viejo and Cahuita are the region's main seaside town, and a really strong Afro-Caribbean feel. As soon as you arrive, you'll quickly fall into that relaxed vibe, slow pace characteristic to the area. We've got beautiful beaches and really an enchanting natural setting in this area. The Southern Caribbean is a lot less developed than what you find on the Pacific side in terms of infrastructure, and it's really just dotted with a few small villas and bungalows kind of tucked in the lush jungle setting. It's a unique blend of Latino, Afro-Caribbean, and the Bribri indigenous population. It's really popular with surfers, backpackers, beach lovers, kind of looking to tap into that laid-back vibe. There is a bit of diving on this side. Diving on the Caribbean is again, a lot less predictable than what we find on the Pacific side. It's not what you're going to be thinking of as some of our other Caribbean destinations, such as Roatan, for example. You're not going to see that long range visibility or the massive coral that you'd find. We have a lot of runoff from the rivers into the Caribbean on our side, and so our waters get a bit murky because of that. So it's a beautiful place. Also, the infrastructure in terms of diving is not as strong as what we'd find on the Pacific side. And last, we're going to just top off with the Central Valley in San Jose. So we're right in the middle of the nation's interior. If you are traveling to southern or the central part of Costa Rica, you might be traveling or arriving into San Jose. This is it's got some unique allure. Spend some time in the capital. If you've got a day, visit the old markets, museums. You can experience a little bit of Costa Rica culture, maybe sipping an afternoon coffee with some of the locals. Also, with about an hour of leaving the chaos of the city, you climb through the hillsides to really go through working coffee plantations, active volcanoes, as well as some really charming small towns. So if you do have a day or so in the Central Valley, it's worth exploring. As we're coming towards an end of the presentation, we'll talk a little bit about planning and a travel itinerary that makes sense. Costa Rica is a small country, but don't let that fool you. It can take a long time to get from one location to the next. Choosing one airport over the other could easily cost you a whole day of driving instead of enjoying another day in paradise. Creating an itinerary that loops back around to the airport you arrived at doesn't always make the most sense. Oftentimes you can save 4 to 6 hours of ground transportation or driving, maybe planning a one-way route where you fly into Liberia and then depart from San Jose or vice versa. And so that's where our staff, as well as the Deep Blue staff, is really there to help guide you and make the right choice there. Costa Rica is not your typical all-inclusive vacation destination, and I encourage you to explore as much as possible. Planning a trip here can sometimes be overwhelming because there is a lot to choose from, a lot of routes, experiences, and things to consider. That's where we step in. We help guides, guests find the right balance between activity, wildlife, relaxation, and really figuring out how to truly experience the country to its fullest. Our goal is to keep planning simple and fun. We'll suggest the best order for each trip, combining destinations that complement each other. So going through to that process, I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. So our first step usually with guests is just having them get to know about Costa Rica, what we're doing right now, speaking with us, answering some of your questions about the basics of traveling with Costa Rica. When should I go based on weather, wildlife, cost, maybe diving? Which airport should I go through? What should I expect? So answering all those questions and learning about where you're going. Next question we usually ask people is how much time do I have to travel, and what's my budget? Not everybody has a month to off to explore. So again, as I mentioned before, Costa Rica is deceptive in size and may appear to be easy to fit everything in a short amount of time. But it's a lot more complicated and takes longer from destination to destination. So once you determine the amount of time you have to travel, we can start mapping out your itinerary. We'll work with you to determine what you can fit into your vacation for your time and also your budget. Next step is usually picking the places. Once you've determined how much time you have to travel, start making your wish list. The places you want to visit, the order will help make the order which makes the most sense. Maybe you're looking for a family travel, so picking those destinations that are family oriented. Wildlife, diving, what's the best place for what I want to get out of this vacation? And again, what order makes the most sense? Doesn't make sense to go from the Pacific, then head over to Tortuguero, and then back over to Southern. So just making those clear choices about what itinerary makes the most sense for me. And also, for example, if you want volcanoes, cloud forests, and beaches, there might be several destinations in Costa Rica that can offer or fit the bill, and we'll help explore those options. Adventures, accommodations, and getting around. Each location really has an incredibly unique experiences and accommodations to pick from. Because our staff is based in Costa Rica, it's easy for us to help you pick some amazing options that are real true highlights in each area. We really maximize your time and budget to ensure value. We help share our insider tips as well. And then last, just to touch about our service. We are a small local agency and we really excel at customer service. We're flexible, we're committed, we're dedicated, and I think pretty helpful. And right now you've got our undivided attention. So I really encourage maybe picking up the phone and speaking with Deep Blue. Right now you've got a lot of travel agents who are really have a lot of time and can really dedicate to creating a great experience for future travel. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about Costa Rica. A little personal plug for some of what our guests have say. Our reputation for providing really top-notch travel planning and customer service is something we're really proud of here. For example, here's one where it says, Fabian organized my trip to Costa Rica last year. He was just amazing. Everything was planned perfectly, and whenever there's a small issue, he was always available. We hope Don visits us again, as well as you. We hope to see you in Costa Rica. So our presentation part is over. I'm going to open up the floor and talk with Cheryl to see if we can answer some questions. Maybe Bill and Nadine can also jump in on that. While we're doing that, I'm just going to put on a muted video that's just going to be in the background to kind of show a little bit of visual of Costa Rica while we can answer some of these questions that have maybe popped up during the presentation.
Thanks, Vanessa. That was a great presentation. I'm sure you're very busy. I know when I do a presentation, I don't look at the chat box because it distracts me while I'm presenting, but you're getting a lot of compliments, people enjoying it. Great presentation, really informative. So everybody's enjoying it. Amy is saying now, thank you for a great escape. So you did a great job, and we really appreciate you showing us all around various areas of Costa Rica.
Well, I'm so glad, and yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the comments because I'm reading as well on what I had prepared. So.
Right. Yeah, I know, and that's why I wanted to share it with you, because you've got a lot of compliments inside the chat box. So thank you. We have Bill and Nadine here as well. Bill and Nadine Beard. They can speak for Costa Rica and the intricacies of it far better than I can. So I'm just going to say a couple of things real quickly. One, we've got
there we go.
we got a lot of comments in the comment box. Guys, I'm not exactly sure where it is for you, but there should be a little drop down near where you type the message. If you want everybody, panelists or people like the Deep Blue team, and right now Bill and Nadine Beard and Vanessa, and it defaults to panelists only. If you want everybody to see your comments, then please also choose and attendees. Some of the comments seem like maybe they wanted to share, you wanted to share your comments with everybody and only the panelists are seeing them. If you only want the panelists to see them, that's fine. And we're definitely getting those messages, so thank you, but just in case. I'm gonna hand this over to Nadine and Bill, along with Vanessa for questions and answers. But I don't know if you know, Nadine, I know you've been watching the question and answer box, but in the chat box, David K has had his hand up the whole time. So David K is going to want to answer as well, but you guys can unmute and take it from here, and Carrie and I will be here if you have technical difficulties.
Okay, I unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, and Bill's here with me.
And I'm Bill. Can you hear me? Hi.
You guys, if you wanted to show your faces, there should be an area for you to put your video on. So how we can see Vanessa, we would love to see you too.
It says I cannot start. The host has stopped it.
Carrie, are you there?
Yep, 1 second.
I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe you guys are sitting in a booth in your house, right?
Go ahead, Nadine, you can turn your video on now.
We were just having a little fun with it.
Fabulous. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm not very good at answering those chats because I kept pushing the button that said I would answer. We would answer live later instead of answering the people, so I apologize for that. But you said somebody had a question, and so I was gonna.
Yeah, David K, thank you for your patience. I've been seeing your hand in the air almost the whole presentation. I'm trying to unmute you right now. It's a little bit slow. It might be that yours is one of the older, but there's some versions that people have that they're using that it won't allow the microphone. So maybe if you could possibly, Carrie, if you could keep trying with this microphone. Otherwise, David K, if you could please type your message in the comment box or the Q&A, we would absolutely love to answer your questions. I know you've been waiting patiently. Nadine, I don't know if you're back over on that Q&A box and if you wanted to read those questions and then address them, or if you need me to read them for you.
No, the one was about the turtle nesting, and I hope that Jeremy got all the answers that he needed from what Vanessa was saying. But yeah, there's definitely different areas that have different turtle nesting seasons, and that's why she went over Tortuguero and Playa Grande and Arenal. So if she wants more information, we'll be glad to answer more questions on it. But I didn't know if he had anything specific or a type of turtle or something that he wanted to see. And then somebody else was asking about rental gear, and there's rental gear for child up to 4XL, and it's replaced pretty regularly. Yeah, you aren't going to see scrubby looking gear when you come to Costa Rica.
It's replaced every year.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there anything
else, flies into Costa Rica, so you can bring your gear in, without charge, on that airline, but it does get, cost prohibitive to bring a lot of luggage. So the rental gear is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and the airlines serve Costa Rica really well, both Liberia Airport on the coast and San Jose, Costa Rica. And we see some phenomenal airfares all the time in and out of both cities. So Costa Rica, no matter what you do, what area, in my experience, has been a very easy destination to get to and very, very affordable as well.
Right, and I saw somebody was asking about all-inclusive, and we sell all-inclusive resorts, but only at the beach. That's the only place they're available. They're not available up in Arenal or in the San Jose area. So that's why some of the combination trips that we do will have all-inclusive package with the alcohol included at the beach. But then when we go inland, we'll include a meal package because our guides really know where to take people. And we have groups. Nobody wants to sit around waiting and waiting and waiting to have a meal at the end of a day when they've been touring. So we usually take the orders ahead of time. When we're stopping for lunch somewhere, do you want a vegetarian, beef, or chicken? Do you have any special needs? And then the meal is ready when we arrive. The guide calls and stays in touch with wherever we've chosen to have lunch or dinner.
Fantastic. And yeah, Costa Rica is one of those destinations, so everybody knows, if you haven't got a good idea from Vanessa's presentation, there's so many different regions. There's so much to do there. I mean, I'm an extremely avid diver. I love my diving, but I mean, if you don't get into some of the cultural or adventure stuff topside, you really miss a lot of Costa Rica's magic. So.
And the guides, really, I mean, the love of the country. I don't care if it's one of our guides who's going on a 2-day trip with you outside, after you leave the beach, or if it's just your river rafting guide or your canopy tour guide. They just love the country so much, and it just comes through.
For sure. And it's definitely one of those with different budget options and adventure. Honestly, your imagination is the limit. We don't seem to have any other questions. So personally, Bill, I would love to hear from you when you very first went to Costa Rica and you wandered that beach and you explored it. Do you want to share a little bit about your story with us?
Just share your story about when you first came to Costa Rica.
Oh, when I first came down to Costa Rica in 1970, I started looking for a place to dive and I couldn't find one. So I ended up on the Caribbean side and I checked, and then I went to the Pacific side. I found no dive shop, no diving at all, no tanks, nothing. So I went back to Miami and got a couple of tanks and my gear and went back, and I found the gas company could pump up compressed air. So I pumped my 2 tanks, went over to the Caribbean side, started diving out of dugout canoes. And that's how we started the diving in Costa Rica, was out of dugout canoes with a 25 horsepower Evinrude motor. And believe it was great diving because no one had ever been diving there before. And the lobster were fantastic. So we started from there, opened the first dive shop in San Pedro by the university. And that was the first professional dive shop in Costa Rica. I was the first instructor there, and the only for 15 years.
You should tell them.
Oh yeah, in San Jose, if you wanted to buy a lobster, you go right down from the post office, and they had live lobster piled up, and you could buy them right there on the street. And the guy had to keep running out in the street and catching the lobster because they keep running off. But there were so many lobsters in Costa Rica in those days, and it was just all virgin. It was all pristine, and it was a wonderful thing for a diver to experience.
And really, Bill was kind of instrumental in starting the whole sustainable tourism part in Costa Rica, because a lot of the people he hired originally at the beach were fish collectors. And he said, well, there's not going to be any colorful fish left, and no seahorses, no harlequin clown shrimp if I don't do something about this. So he told them, said, look, guys, you can take these one time and sell them, or you can work for me and show them to people over and over. And those people are, now they're grandparents too. And their kids and grandkids are working in the dive industry.
Yeah, we have third generation people working in diving now. With a young fellow, he was an instructor, a PADI instructor, and I was diving with him, but I didn't know him. And he knew me, and we started talking, and I said, well, my first dive boat captain, I had the first dive boat, obviously, in Costa Rica, was named Rafa, and he said, oh, well, that was my grandfather. And I said, oh, well, then Luis is your father because he worked for me too. So I know with 3 generations of Costa Ricans, and we started out, we trained them to take the tourists instead of taking lobster and taking the tropical fish and selling them. So now we're 3rd generation of the people still taking the tourists out.
That's fantastic. That's really amazing. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for bringing Costa Rica into our lives, because I've been there and Terry's been there, and it's a personal favorite of us both and a lot of our family members and friends too. So thank you for opening that up and bringing that to us as a destination.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity. Vanessa did an awesome job, and I don't like to present, but you are awesome doing it, and everybody loves you.
I think all you guys did a great job, and we're very appreciative.
Thank you so much. Well, we can't do it without your support. So truly thank you, and thank you for being here. Sadly, I mean, it was such an awesome presentation. I don't know about anybody else, but it went so fast. But unfortunately, we're out of time. So we're going to have to drop off here, I'm afraid. We're going to try and keep these seminars and webinars going as long as we're all locked in, and maybe even once we're released again as well, because we'll be missing everybody by that point. So we'll chat to Bill Beard's, Vanessa, and the crew, because maybe they'll come back and do something for us another evening where we can spend a bit more time and hear a lot of other stories, and the stuff where you're putting sustainability on the map was just something very dear to all of our hearts too. So thank you so much for that.